In order for you to live the life that you want to live, in order for you to grow, in order for you to step into your purpose, in order for you to step into your greatness, the truth is everyone is not going to be able to go with you. So it's very important that we understand who to keep in our lives and who to just simply let go. So that's why in this episode of Creating Your Inner Circle, I'm sharing with you 4 questions that you can ask yourself so that way you can create an inner circle that serves you and serves your dream. So if you're somebody that takes your personal development serious and you really want to establish an inner circle that is invincible, you're going to want to check out this episode. This is the space where you are saying yes to your biggest goals in a world full of idle dreamers by empowering your identity, beliefs, and abilities. Prepare yourself because to create the reality we want, we say no to excuses, who cares to other people's thoughts, feelings, or expectations. And we say enough to the things that are holding us back from our greatness. It's time to set the table to do the work to become successful, fulfilled, and free. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Trevon Jr., and I'm super excited and thankful to have you guys here for another episode where we're talking about creating your inner circle, creating the type of inner circle that allows you to dominate your life, creating the type of inner circle that allows you to feel supported in your life, and creating the type of inner circle that allows you to just be successful in whatever it is that you want to do. So before we get into this episode and I share with you the 4 questions that you need to be asking yourself as well as asking people in your inner circle so that you can determine who needs to be there, do me a favor. If you are somebody that wants to achieve more and you really want to personally develop yourself in a way that allows you to have all that you want to have, you belong here. And so I'm going to need you to subscribe. And then I'm also going to need you to pick up your free copy of a dream workbook, which will get you started towards crafting your dream. So all of that is found in the description link below me. So be sure to do that really quick. Press the link and you'll get your workbook. Now, the reason why this episode is so important, the reason why your inner circle is important, and I've said this before in previous episodes, is because there's no such thing as being self-made. No one is self-made. Someone needed someone to say yes. You're going to need people to support you. And an inner circle is especially important because if you don't have an inner circle, who do you have that's challenging you? If you don't have an inner circle, who do you have that is supporting you? If you don't have an inner circle, who do you have that's actually able to tell you that you're wrong? Because the truth is, we don't have all the answers. We don't. Sorry, you can read all the books you want. You don't have all the answers. So you need people that you can lean on. You need people that you can be vulnerable with. You need people that you can be honest with when it comes to your process to greatness. You need people that you can be honest with when it comes to decisions that you're about to make. So that way, maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to give you feedback on whatever the situation may be, whatever the question may be, right? And so you need an inner circle. And so in this episode, I'm sharing with you 4 questions that I've had to ask myself when it comes to who I surround myself with. And it's really allowed me to have great results in my inner circle. I love my inner circle. You know who you are. Salute. But when you think about you in your own life, you asking yourself these 4 questions will allow you to really filter out who belongs when it comes to the journey to your dream and who you're just honestly going to have to let go. Because the truth about relationships and friendships and things of that nature is a lot of them start out from a place of emotion. And while that's nice, and I'm not saying to just cut off everybody and only have people that are for your dream, and I'm not saying you can't have friends just outside of the pursuit. But what I am saying is you do need an inner circle of people that are pushing you towards your purpose. And in order for you to do that, you're going to need to ask yourself these 4 questions. And so just back to why we need to ask ourselves these questions is because when you think about your friendships, so many of us, and I know I did, we had friendships because we grew up together. We had friendships just because we were on the same sports team. We have friendships just because, well, our moms were cool. We have friendships just because, we met at church or whatever the case may be. For all of these emotional level reasons, like there isn't any real substance behind the friendship. And we just hold on to these friendships just because they're all we know. We hold on to them because they're familiar. We hold on to them because they're comfortable. And like all growth, Discomfort is just a byproduct of it. And so it's very important that when you think about your friendships, that there is an alignment with your friendships in your solar system that allow you to go towards the goals that you have for your life. And so the very first question that I want you to ask yourself as you are trying to either figure out your inner circle or refine your inner circle is you need to figure out and ask yourself, do they support you? And what you need to start with in terms of that question is figuring out what support means to you. All right. And an example of this would be if you're somebody where you want to start going to the gym more, right? Support to you may look different than it may look to me. For example, you may define support as you are trying to lose weight and you want to start going to the gym more often as who's going to actually go to the gym with me? Who's actually going to, quote unquote, take this burden on with me? Who's going to take this challenge on with me and show up to the gym every single day with me? Whereas I may view support as, well, who's just going to ask me at the end of the day, did I go? Well, who's just going to send me a motivating text to go or something of that nature? Like those are two different actions received two different ways. And if the person that views support as who's going to go with me receives the text message, they're not going to really feel supported in their pursuit. Whereas if I am the person who only needs the text message and someone's like, well, I'm going to go with you, I could be like, man, I can go by myself. I'm good. Now I feel like like, you understand? I hope that makes sense. Like in the sense of, you have to define what support is to you. And then you have to ask yourself, are the people that I want around me or the people that are currently around me, do they support me in the way that I need to be supported? And it does take a level of self-reflection, but it's very important. And I know for me, I experienced this just while building my businesses that, when I would do something and someone would, let's say, comment on it, right? Like it'd be great. And I'd be very appreciative. I appreciate every comment. I appreciate every follow, everything like that. But I wouldn't define that as like real support just because for me, that's not really support. Now, support to me is, well, do you at least listen to the podcast episodes? Support to me is, the things that I am at least putting out for free, are you at least checking them out? Are you at least keeping up to date with stuff? Like, because that's what support is to me. And that's not slighting anybody or anything like that. But when it comes to the people that are in my inner circle, the people in my inner circle actually like watch my stuff. The people in my inner circle actually know what's going on and know like what I want to do next and things of that nature. But that's just because they're supporting me in the way that I deem as support. And so that's why you need to first ask yourself. So then you can go ask whoever's in question or the people or group in question, do they support you? Okay. And it's super important because support is, like I said, you need support because there are going to be low moments. There are going to be moments where you're going to need someone to reach out and really support you in the way that you need support. Okay. Now, the second question that you need to ask is, do your values align with theirs? Okay. Do your values align with theirs? And the reason why you have to ask you this question is because, again, if you're in pursuit of greatness, if you're in pursuit of a dream, if you're in pursuit of, something that you only see in your mind, it's very difficult to have someone in your inner circle that isn't on that same level of thinking, that isn't on that same level of living. Because when you live your life at a standard, because that's what you're just going to have to do in order to be successful, they aren't going to understand it. And because they don't understand it, that's where you open yourself up to them basically helping introduce self-doubt. That's where they, not even knowingly, will hinder you from growing just because they themselves don't have the same conviction to live their life with the values that are needed in order to grow. The values that are needed to live a life that is greater than anything that they might have ever imagined. But it starts with having an alignment of values, right? An example of this, for me, I don't smoke weed. That's not like a thing of mine, right? Don't judge anybody that does. It's just not my thing. I can't stand the act of smoking, right? But for me, especially when I was growing up playing sports and everything like that, I couldn't have people around me that were really smoking like that just because they're like my value of I don't smoke and do drugs and everything like that, it didn't align with theirs. Not that there was anything wrong with it, but I had to make a decision. And because of that, it allowed me to always stay on track. While people wanted to go and do all that they wanted to do, it allowed me to lock in and do what I needed to do. And it was respectable. So and there's a difference between, disagreeing with somebody and judging them versus just disagreeing, and we can respect each other and we can go to our separate corners, and that's okay. Okay. And that's, I really want to make sure I drive that point home, because, it's okay. Like at the end of the day, your dream is worth more than friendship. Just being honest with you, like your dream is worth way more. There's way more at stake when it comes to your dream than having a friendship, especially if there's a misalignment of values, right? So you really want to ask yourself, are my values aligned with theirs? Do we have the same type of values? Okay. And that's why, in other words, a lot of this has to do with self-work, because you do need to know your own values, but you have to ask yourself, do your values align with theirs? All right. Now, the next question that you have to ask yourself when you want to create an inner circle that helps you dominate is, do they challenge you to be better? Do they challenge you to be better? And this is an important question, because you don't want to get caught into the consistency trap. You don't want to get caught in the confidence trap, simply because, as you ascend, as you continue to do great things, there are going to be people that, because they don't have your same level of vision, right, as the cliche saying goes, that they're just going to congratulate you. They're just going to be, oh my God, you're so amazing. Oh my God, that was so great. Oh my God, that was an amazing idea. And you hear too much of that, you can fall into the confidence trap. You can fall into the consistency trap. But when you have the right inner circle, when you have the right people in your inner circle, it doesn't matter what you accomplish. They're just going to say, well, you could have done better. They're going to say, well, you could do better than that. Why don't you do better? Why didn't you do better? Right? And that is what you need to keep growing, because you need that level of honesty. You need that level of challenging, so that way you can continue to grow. Because at the end of the day, this is all about growth. All of this is about personal development. Everything is about personal growth. And it's about installing a growth mindset that allows you to be successful. And when you have the right inner circle of people that are challenging you consistently to be better, you put yourself in a better position to do that. And when you put yourself in a better position to be successful, sooner or later, it'll happen. So you really want to make sure you're asking yourself, do they challenge you to be better? And those are some very uncomfortable conversations sometimes, especially if you feel like you're right. Especially if you feel like, well, I know more than them or whatever. Like, it's some uncomfortable conversations, but they're worth it, and they're necessary. Okay. Now, the fourth question that you need to be asking yourself if you want to create an inner circle that allows you to be successful is, do you have consistent and honest conversations? Do you have consistent and honest conversations? And the reason why this is so important is because if you only talk to somebody, let's say once a year, that doesn't necessarily serve as an inner circle person to me, and by my standards. Like, someone in your inner circle, I would say you're talking to them at least, 2 times a week, where there's just a little bit, there is consistency, but there is a little frequency as well to those conversations. But it's something consistent. It's something frequent. But even more importantly than those consistent conversations, it's honest. It's honest. It's not, where you're hanging out with your friends, or you're on the phone with your friends, the group FaceTime, whatever it is, and everyone's giving their life update and everyone's doing so great, and you're not really doing as great, but you embellish a little bit in that conversation in terms of how you're doing, right? Like, for example, you may be the business owner and everyone's going around, they're at their corporate jobs, they're doing great, they're sharing this update, that update, and then you're like, oh, let's say your revenue at the time is, you're making $5,000 a month, let's just say, and you just decide in that update, you're just like, yeah, nah, like, it's up, I'm making $10,000 a month, and I got more on the way, contract, da, 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 da. Now you're just, that's not even an honest conversation at that point, because you've allowed pride to come in, and you're now not even being honest with whatever it is that you're doing. And, one thing about growth, it requires honesty. And, for you to even be lying about something like that is just kind of pointless. But But when you think about those consistent conversations, you do need to have people in your life that you can be honest with. You do need to have people in your life that you can be brutally honest with. Like, even if you did the worst thing in the world, even if you do it and you tell them with tears in your eyes, whatever it is, you do need people in your life that you can be honest with. And on multiple levels, honest on a professional level, honest on a personal level, honest on a spiritual level. Like, you need people that you can really be honest with. And you need to be asking yourself, when you're in the process of creating an inner circle or you're refining your inner circle, are these conversations consistent and are they honest? Because if they're honest, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how many people may be dealing with the exact same thing that you may be dealing with. You'd be surprised how many people are hurting from the exact same thing that you're hurting from. But because you aren't honest, you'll never know. You'll never know, and you'll feel isolated. And in that isolation, you only put yourself in a deeper hole. And so it's important that when you're trying to find the right people, that you're just honest. Because at the end of the day, your story is your story. And again, I'm not telling you to just tell all your business. I'm not telling you to just speak every single thought and scream from the rooftops your IP and all that type of stuff. That's not what I'm saying. What I am telling you to do is that when you identify people that are supporting you, that are challenging you, and they want to be involved in your process, and they really are on their own path to greatness, those are the people that you want to have those consistent, honest conversations with, because they're more than likely experiencing the same things that you are. The same fear that you deal with, they likely are experiencing the same thing. The same self-doubt that you may be experiencing, they're likely dealing with the same thing. The same procrastination that you may be dealing with, they likely are dealing with the same thing. But if you are not honest, you rob yourself and you rob them for an opportunity for growth. And so you want to make sure that you're having honest and consistent communication and conversations with your inner circle. Okay. And I'm going to throw in a bonus question for you, just because, I want you guys to grow and I really want to make sure I give you guys as much value as possible. The fifth question, all right, you're going to love this. Do they believe in you? Do they believe in you? And, this is a really deep question, just because it's a hard conversation to have sometimes, and it's an honest conversation again, but it's a very multifaceted question. It sounds simple, right? Just like, do you believe in me? Like, you can tell when a person really believes in your vision, because when you have an inner circle that believes in each other, no matter how crazy the vision is, no matter, no matter how the odds may be stacked up against, the group or the individual, whatever it is, when you have people that truly believe in you, where they know what you're struggling with, where they know what you want to accomplish, they know the fear that you may have, they know all parts of it, and they're not even living it, but they still believe in you, you will see a complete change in the way that you work. You will see a complete change in the way in which you respond. But you have to ask, do they believe in you? And once again, it's a hard conversation, but it's worth it. So these are 5 questions that I'm telling you to ask when you're trying to create an inner circle that pushes you towards greatness. Number 1, do they support you? Number 2, does your values align with theirs? Number 3, do they challenge you to be better? Number 4, do you have consistent and honest conversations? And number 5, the bonus question, do they believe in you? All right. I want you to ask yourself these 5 questions, and it starts with you, because before you can search for an answer, you have to already have an answer in terms of what you have to define the answer for yourself. Before you go asking your friends, you have to make sure you define what support is, define your values, define, really know how you want to be challenged, really understand and know, okay, well, do I know how to be honest? Do I believe in me? You have to ask yourself these questions first before you go and ask your inner circle or ask potential candidates or potential people in your inner circle. But you ask these 4 questions, you ask these 5 questions, I'm telling you that you will create a inner circle that will push you towards success. You will create an inner circle that will allow you to be everything that you want to become. And, I'm telling you this from personal experience. My inner circle, I've asked all these questions, and some have been hard conversations. I've had to let some people go. And even as I have ascended, these are questions you have to continuously ask, but they're super important and they're worth it. I'm telling you. So I appreciate you guys for checking out this episode. I hope that you got some value from it. I hope that this episode prompted action. I hope that this inspired some level of change for you in your life, because you deserve it. You deserve to live the life of your dreams. And I want to do everything that I can within my purpose and within my power to help you do it. So I appreciate you guys. Be sure to be on the lookout for another episode next week. If you haven't, go check out some past episodes where we talked about a whole variety of things. This has been a complete blessing to even be doing this. But I appreciate you guys for checking out this episode. And always remember, your dream is possible as long as you're willing to work for it. See you guys. Pick up your dream workbook, and I'll see you guys next week. Salute.